I'm not going to give a definition first. We'll see if it becomes clear from the presentation what a disruptor is. But before we take a look into today and the future, I would like to take you a while back with a little bit of history. We're in 2004, where 20 years old Mark Zuckerberg is giving his first TV interview, and he's talking about the Facebook, his brand new social networking platform that just has reached 100,000 followers, and Mark is really hopeful about what it's going to become in the future. Now, the news anchor is breezily saying, is this perhaps the next big thing? We all know how this turned out. But today I'd like to ask the same question about some other players in the social media landscape, to take a look at what we can expect in 2020 and beyond. Of course, we cannot take a look at everything, so we'll analyze that through two main drivers of change that I would like to focus on today, namely teenagers and video. These two elements are quite closely related to one another. First of all, teens. We call them Generation Z at the moment, Generation Z. Differently delineated from 1996 on, mostly. First generation to not have known the world without internet and spending most of their life being connected wirelessly. Well, they are the ones who are actually completely used to mobile technology, social media, and video is a big part of that. They expect video to be the main source of information, also about brands. And when we take a look at tech development, the fast internet connection that they've been experiencing, video is definitely something that they treat naturally, and it not necessarily has always been like that. We all remember times when the main form of communicating about your life was still image and text. Simple posts on Facebook. At the time when hopeful Mark Zuckerberg was talking about the Facebook, that was pretty much it. And now we have slightly different means of showing our life to the world. It's video, it's also sound, which is a little bit different from what we've been preaching for the past years, trying to make your video work without sound. Now sound's starting to be quite important, and I'll get back to that later. And first and foremost, interaction. That's an element that keeps on coming back when we talk about video. Let's take a look at the timeline. These are the moments of video content being introduced over the main players in the social media landscape over the years. And we can see, even though the launching moments are not marked here, that video was introduced only several years after the classics were launched, such as Facebook. We, of course, have YouTube, video first platform. Then there comes Snapchat, that is disrupting the social media landscape of its time by introducing stories that has been very quickly copied by Instagram, very quickly. Took them 3 years, actually. But afterwards, very quickly, Facebook and Messenger stories followed. We also have Twitch, live streaming platform that I will get back to today as one of the disruptors that I would like to take a look at. And finally, TikTok, 2017, first launched as Musical.ly, that has been copied by Facebook with an Lasso app. Not so successful so far. TikTok is definitely, at the moment, number one when it comes to new players on social media. Most downloaded app in November 2019. When it comes to video apps, and second most downloaded app worldwide. Now, there's also one more player, Vine, that doesn't exist anymore, and many people ask themselves, what is actually the difference between TikTok and Vine? This is pretty much the same thing, so how come this one is skyrocketing at the moment and the other didn't quite make it? Of course, there are many theories about that, and people have different opinions on why Vine didn't make it. But was it missing the boat of monetization? Was it problems with management? Apart from that, when we take a look at some context behind this, we will see that when you look at average use of mobile data, connection speed, or smartphone sales even, that this was still a little bit of a different time. And it could be that TikTok found a better moment to launch a very similar type of social medium, but a little bit later. Of course, there's also algorithm that is a game changer when it comes to TikTok, namely algorithm designed to make your content viral per definition, where you can get TikTok famous even if you have 0 followers from the beginning. TikTok is going to be the first disruptor that I'm going to talk about today. And all we know about TikTok users, audience, content is not coming from TikTok itself. They don't share that info yet. So we have to look for some external sources. I would like to use statistics from Get Hero report from 2019, Poland, one of the most comprehensive European reports on who TikTok users are. It was based on online survey with almost 3,500 TikTok users, which is quite a lot to get an idea of what that is. Now, first thing that we know is that TikTok is quite a highly creative community. That is very much linked to what Generation Z is about. They do not hesitate to create content. They do not hesitate to go on social with their own videos and other types of content. 70% creates that content. This is very different from Instagram users, where data shows that the consumption of content is still first and foremost passive. They like and follow content of other people. What type of content is that? Well, it's transitions, it's dancing, it's lip syncing, it's challenges for the sake of challenges, not necessarily branded ones, even though brands are trying to tap into that. But as you can see, those short videos up to 15 seconds are really oriented towards fun, humor. And to quote Father John Misty, would that mean that TikTok is about total entertainment forever? Well, yes, it is. It's actually content that is focused mostly on fun. And for now, what's scoring most is content like transitions, singing, dancing, comedy, fashion, beauty, art, and those challenges as well. Well, it's actually very good news from advertising point of view, because, you know, when you think about it, all other social media that we tend to focus on at the moment are actually designed to contact your community, to talk to your friends, family, find out what's happening in their lives. And that's not necessarily the context in which you would be that open to commercial messages. It feels like this ground is way more interesting when it comes to providing commercial content. And that's something that we should definitely keep in mind for the future. So having said about creative community, we can see here an example of one of the fastest growing Polish TikTokers finding her own way to promote a soft drink. And done. That's just a new flavor, mint and mango. And that's, of course, a looping on and on video. With purely commercial message. Then we have Steen, a Belgian influencer who has recently launched her winter collection with Zeb, and she's actively promoting that one on TikTok too. we can see it's all very young, fun, and entertaining. So many people ask themselves, would that be just a hype for teens? Well, first of all, it turns out that it seems to be more than a hype. 83% of users has been on TikTok for more than a year, and they don't intend to really get off it. They're quite okay there. On top of that, 70% of users prefers TikTok over Facebook, which is actually a very interesting dynamic when you think about it. And yes, for now, the hype is definitely for teens. Average age of users is relatively low. 66%, 13 to 15 years old, but it shouldn't surprise us when we think more generally about the life cycle of social media. Early adopters are usually very young, so that's only normal, but we can observe certain signs that would tell us that mainstream is actually knocking at the door. Take a look. This is Ellen DeGeneres' show that has recently launched a new segment where Ellen is watching TikTok on television and is...
For those of you over 35, TikTok is an app where people post short, funny videos, and my staff found some for me to watch, and by watch, I mean to judge.
So she's basically watching those videos and assessing whether she likes them or not. But that definitely gives TikTok way bigger traction with older audiences than it ever did before. Now, having said all that, you might ask yourself, should my brand go on TikTok? Is there something interesting in there for my brand? And that's an easy one when you are very much in line with what TikTok is about and what TikTok feels like as a platform. If your brand is already targeting teenagers, is rooted in pop culture, feels young, spontaneous, and fun, and has very strong digital-first mindset, then by all means, you should give it a shot. Some of the brands are already there. Take a look, for example, the ones that are really in line with TikTok, are already there, and they're trying out different types of content, from original branded to reposts of content of their fans to challenges that are supposed to help them gain more traction on TikTok. They are more or less successful, but it's definitely interesting to see brands experimenting with the platform. We can also see that brands that technically should be there because they are indeed in line with what TikTok is all about, are not there yet. I'm thinking here Fanta, Converse, Vans, Monkey, those ones that are actually really strongly rooted in that type of culture that is cultivated TikTok. But ultimately, I'd like to state that more than actually aligning with your brand's DNA, being on TikTok is about finding your own voice. And very interesting example here is the Washington Post. Just take a look at their one-liner here. Newspapers are like iPads, but on paper. Well, they find their own language to communicate on social media, and they do it quite well. I recommend you to follow that one because you wouldn't expect them to do that so well, and yet they're nailing it. And no, they're not broadcasting news on TikTok. They're actually showing behind the scenes from their office and doing quite a great job when it comes to employer branding, using exactly the codes that TikTok is all about. Now, so much for TikTok short attention spans and viral videos, algorithms, because when you take a look at a second disruptor of today, you could forget everything I said so far. Turns out that teens can also get hooked on video content for a very, very long time. And by that, I don't even mean Netflix. Here's Twitch. Platform that has been around for quite a while, launched in 2011. It's a live streaming platform, right? Has 1.25 million viewers at any time of day on average. Daily screen time is on average 100 minutes. And we probably all know it from that type of content, right? Gaming, esports. Those are live streamers who play games. People are following them, watching them, and are participating here in the chat window in real time. That's probably not surprising. Twitch has been around for a while, but this year they have launched a campaign, first above-the-line campaign in their history, and they're targeting broader audiences under a tagline, "You're already one of us," and they invite more people to join the platform. They invite more people to start live streaming and explore the possibilities of Twitch. That's really interesting. I got hooked. I went on Twitch and tried to see what, apart from gaming, I could get out of this. Well, all I saw was games, channels related to games, and trying to avoid that was actually quite difficult because other topics were quite scarce. I found something with politics, I think something with music, sports, but there's something that is really interesting. It's this one. It's just chatting, a new topic that was launched end of 2018 and has been gaining plenty of traction since then. Actually, just chatting has grown 4 times faster than Twitch itself in the last year. And what is just chatting? Just chatting is just chatting. People are sitting in front of their cameras and are talking to their audience in real time. People are quite reactive to it, and it may range from just discussing things, singing and playing to your audience, having quite enthusiastic crowd virtually. Here you can see that people are really rocking out to the song. It can also be cooking, it can be fitness. This is not to say that this is big, but this is definitely an interesting phenomenon that is getting started only now. So let's repeat the question. Would it be that Twitch with their live streams is all about entertainment? Of course. Yes, but there's more to it. The dynamics here are quite different. First of all, Twitch is all about real-time interaction. And that generates high level of trust towards the influencer because the content is not pre-prepared. It's not a polished content that has been staged. It's this raw, natural vibe that you can also see on TikTok, but here it lasts and lasts for hours. And people are actually getting really engaged into this interaction, into those conversations, into watching and following those influencers. So we can assume that there are also less distractions. And these communities are also built around niche interests, which can be very interesting from advertising point of view. And there's the last one, the phenomenon of slow TV. We could say, is Twitch the TV of the new generation? Maybe, but when you look at what's happening in Norway with footage of hours and hours of a train passing by and there is a cam on the cockpit, there's definitely something interesting. And we could ask ourselves, is it really all about short attention spans? Like I said, there's sports. That's channel of NBA, and that seems like a pretty easy parallel from esports to regular sports. I can perfectly imagine snooker or pool being live streamed on Twitch, right? But what I found really interesting, and I got hooked for really hours and hours of that, is live streaming of Donald Trump's impeachment hearings. And those are really long ones, 12 to 14 hours, sometimes throughout the entire day. Every second of it is being streamed. And guess who's streaming? It's again Washington Post. They seem to have a very good hang of the new channels. And that's a very interesting one. I was really surprised how fast the chat was going. Sometimes wasn't even able to read it, which means that the participation is really strong and people are actually engaged and they're following that kind of content. Very interesting when you think about participation in democracy. And all the other things that cannot be shown on TV because they're simply too long, here you can get them in their entirety. That one was moving, by the way. All right, so let's get back to possibilities for advertisers on Twitch. This is a mature platform. So here we can definitely count on traditional advertising, just like on YouTube, pre-rolls, banners, visuals on the sidebar. Those are possible, but what is particularly interesting here is influencer marketing, because of the reasons that I have just mentioned, those longer attention spans, trust, and interest that these people generate with their audiences can have an immense influence on the way we can advertise products that are suitable for the platform. Then another possibility is, of course, direct brand presence, being there with your own channel, but that one's tricky, because then you have to go live and then you have to keep up with the content for quite a long time. So that's definitely a challenging option. Last one, small one, but quite fun, is custom emotes, which is a very important part of Twitch culture. Here's an example of Dorito chip that was most used branded emote in 2017 to 18. Used daily on average 17.330 times, which is not bad when you think about it. All right, now let's try to look a little bit into the future and see where this is headed. First of all, from advertising point of view, when it comes to the way your brand can be present on these platforms, the whole spectrum can be covered, from brand awareness through product advertising to direct selling. There are ways. I think one platform can be better than the other when it comes to different goals of your advertising or marketing. And you can go on both platforms for influencer marketing or your own channel. For traditional paid ads, Twitch is the only one available at the moment. TikTok is not making it possible yet. They're waiting, and we will have to see how that one turns out. And to wrap it up, there are some new challenges that we can notice that are actually growing from these dynamics that we've just seen with both TikTok and Twitch. Namely, we're probably going to have to forget about cross-posting quite soon, because tailoring messages to fit those very specific niche apps and platforms will be another challenge for social media management and content creation. We have to also prepare for more genuine interaction, because we see on both TikTok and Twitter that there is this tendency to create more genuine, unpolished content that is not staged, that is not perfectly clean. And that's definitely something to keep in mind. Also, interaction in real time is going to be yet another challenge. We should also be ready to accept experiment as part of the process. It's no longer the times of sending your message one way and, seeing what's going to happen. Actually, when you go live with your content on social is the moment where the real work begins. You have to test, you have to evaluate, you have to keep on checking how different things are working. And then that's also part of finding your own language on all those new platforms. And finally, let go of full control. We see that the generation of consumers that is up and coming right now is highly creative, and there are quite close bonds with influencers very often. So this is yet another challenge for brands to let go of full control and dare to give brand and product in their hands and let them advertise it to the communities that they know best in the way they think are suitable for it and in the language spoken by users of very specific platforms. Thank you very much, and I'm really curious about your questions.
Do you think there are specific industries that work better on TikTok? Because there's this agency in Belgium, Hooray, and they did a campaign with Eastpak. We talked about Zip. Do you think it's like fashion that's most suitable for TikTok?
Yeah, like I said, fashion is actually quite an obvious way to go. Together with, I would say, makeup, There are many interesting things I've seen on TikTok when it comes to makeup. Fashion with those transitions, the transitions that I've just shown where, with creative editing, people are having a makeover in no time. That's an amazing opportunity to actually advertise fashion. And same goes for makeup. The makeovers are also quite popular there. And I was checking, where's Sephora, for example? Not there yet, but then I found a thread that was going quite viral with some lip syncing about going to Sephora with no makeup and being judged. And then there's this makeover and it's like, who can do makeup? That was the bottom line. So definitely fashion. Yeah. All right. No further questions. Thanks again.